Now, did you ever think the Octo Finissimo was just a little too big? Well, Bulgari have shrunk it down. We're not talking thinness here, we're talking diameter. Down from 40, finally down to 37, making it more wearable. We're here in Le Sentier at Bulgari to talk with Fabrizio Buonamassa to find out just how you take such an icon of a watch down to a more wearable size while adding in brand new elements like a new bracelet and a new clasp in the mix. Here we are again, guys. I'm back, the incredible Fabrizio. We're back in Le Sentier. We're here to discover what feels like a continuation of the Octo story to me. These don't feel like brand new watches. They feel very familiar, but there is a lot of excitement around these. To me, this is the best iteration of the Finissimo that's ever existed. But before we get into that, how are you, Fabrizio?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
It's a pleasure to have you here talking about this new baby that for us is a very important chapter. 3 years of work on the movement, on the new case, new bracelets. Everything is new. It's a different Octo Finissimo. Doesn't look very new, but it's a brand new watch.
Yeah, all the design codes are familiar, so
exactly.
It feels like an Octo Finissimo. But to me, it wears a lot better than your original. I'm not saying the original doesn't wear well, just before I get in trouble. But my first question to you just has to be why? Why have you gone smaller?
Why a new Octo Finissimo? Because the world changed, and even because our capability and our skills are different after 15 years.
Yeah.
When I say that the world changed, even the market changed, different needs, different clients. For the first time in our history, we talk with the watch collectors. And honestly, the Octo Finissimo, it was a great achievement at the time, but was again a different kind of market, even in terms of aesthetics. There is a big trend in terms of small watches that is not new on the market, it's just a few years ago. So we start to receive requests and comments.
Interesting. So, because the last time we spoke, I think you were just off the back of a quick trip to Mexico.
Yeah.
So I think you were talking to clients there as well. And I get the impression that's a big part of your role, is speaking with clients and getting the feedback and understanding what they are looking for when it comes to a Bulgari watch. And so was it from them that you get these exact dimensions of 37? Could you have gone 36? Could you have done 38?
This is a very interesting question because, you know, I have the chance to travel around the world quite often, and you can collect different requests. In some part of the world, yes, we love small watches. On the other side of the world, why don't you make a bigger Octo Finissimo? So come on, it starts to become a bit difficult, but when you start to collect, we would like to have a smaller watch, we would like to have a bigger or a thicker watch. You have to say, what is important for us? Which kind of request is more interesting from our DNA and for the development of the brand?
You've decreased the volume of the movement by 20%.
Yes.
But you've increased that power reserve by 20%.
Yes.
So you've got a 3-day power reserve in a smaller movement, so 31 millimeter diameter. It's slightly thicker, I believe.
2 cents thicker, yeah. Nothing, honestly.
Absolutely nothing, but the volume is smaller.
Yeah.
And we've just been shown the 3D diagrams, and it's a dense movement.
Yes.
It's packed in there for sure. So your expertise in Piccolissimo has led to this. Is this going to become a platform from which you build on in the same way that the 40mm was the platform that we've seen, as we were discussing last time, that lineage of Finissimo? Is this going to become the next platform to build a new lineage from?
It's very important to say that the 40 is still on the market,
of course,
now we arrive with the 37, so two different approach, but for sure when we start to develop a movement, and this is a 3 years of development to have this movement, we don't imagine to have a movement just for one SKU.
Sure.
Doesn't make sense, honestly. But from my point of view, as a designer, I immediately start to imagine what I can do with this movement.
Yeah.
It's like in the automotive industry, you have an engine and you have some chassis. At the end, this engine, it works very well with this chassis, doesn't work at all with the other chassis, because the movement was not made on purpose for some, for example, extreme activities.
Yeah, and so we've said that there are a lot of design codes here that are familiar to Octo fans. But I want to try and zero on the details that are brand new for this model. First of all, this bracelet.
Yeah.
brand new bracelet construction, correct?
Yeah.
And you really see that, I think, in the sort of brushed and polished version, because previously those polished sections are one monoblock piece in that
exactly.
link. But now you've decided to separate them out.
Yes.
So the polished section is a separate part,
Yes.
and the satin bits put on top.
This was made on purpose for two different reasons. The first of all, the perfection of the finishing. When you have on the steel version the brush and polished surface, it's just one component, so you have to work in a very crazy way to have all the edges made in the correct way. The second point was another frustration, the two-tone execution.
Sure.
That was not possible in the past.
Of course.
Because the titanium bracelet was made in one component, the link, and even the steel bracelet, the link was made in one component. So this was the second frustration. The first one was the dial, and the second one was the bracelet, made in just one link. So even the after-sale service, it was part of the game, because after 15 years, now in a certain moment you have to make a polish of a very old bracelet, and they say, Fabrizio, we have the pin that are sealed and polished on the side of the bracelet, because you love to have the side of the bracelet that is polished. But honestly, we spend 1 week to assembling a bracelet, because we have to make the pin, and after we have to polish all the things. I say, guys, honestly, I'm happy, I'm open to discuss some different finishing, because if we have to spend 1 week to assembling the bracelet, and after we have to charge an amazing cost to the clients, I think the clients is not happy. So maybe we can find a solution to preserve the quality of the finishing, but even the correct way to assembling this bracelet, because all our clients love to use the watch every day. When you start to wear a Finissimo, it's like a second skin, it's very difficult, and this is the comments that we receive from very important Octo collectors. They say, when I put on the wrist the Octo, for me it's very difficult to take it off, because it's absolutely perfect in terms of ergonomic and the bracelet.
So what a good problem to have.
Exactly. We collect all the comments during these 15 years, because I talk with a lot of people. And all these comments was in my mind. And now that we had the chance to develop the Octo Finissimo from scratch, we start to say, okay, this is done, this is done, this is done. We change the buckle on this watch. We have two push buttons.
I wanted to talk about that buckle, because it was a big thing for me, having spent some time with Octos in the past, trying to get that buckle on and off, especially if your wrist expands slightly and you're putting pressure on it. It's tough to do, and it's another reason it's hard to take off the wrist. But now you've used this push button, this butterfly buckle. Was that something, again, that's coming from clients, or is that something that you just knew had to be added to this piece?
No, for me, honestly, and for us, it was very important to have an upgrade in terms of quality of some components. The buckle is a very important part of the Octo Finissimo story, because it's fully integrated in the bracelet. So we start to develop this new buckle 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, because from the beginning the idea was to improve the bracelet with the push button. We spend a lot of time to find the right push button, the right feedback, the right size, and we are very happy about that. But all the elements are to have an improvement.
Will we see that buckle on the 40mm?
Not at the moment. 40 has a different bracelet. Is wider. So we need to develop a brand new buckle, because this buckle doesn't work on the 40mm bracelet.
So we've got 4 watches in this release. But to me, there is one that's kind of an outlier. And that's because it doesn't have the new movement in it. And it's got a completely new functionality to it. This minute repeater that's over here. Now, why have you launched the minute repeater alongside these 37mm watches?
The idea was to create something that was easier to wear on the smaller wrist, but even for the clients that love the watch but says it's too big for my wrist. So we start to develop the 36 and the 37, and immediately we cut, even because the movement was not so small, and we move on the 37, 38 and 39. The 38 and 39 were so close to the 40, doesn't make sense to make a new development. And the 37 at the end, from more or less from the beginning, was it's pointed out this is the right one. When you put on the wrist, you say the right one. And we start to imagine evolution of the 37 line in a more mainstream version, but it could be even interesting to have in some formal movement like the minute repeater could be. So at the end, you say yes, but if we develop this case, could be even great to have not just the 3-hour, minute and second execution, but even something that is noble in this kind of field. And is the minute repeater. It's still today is the thinnest on the market.
Yeah.
It was at the beginning of the Octo Finissimo, the aesthetic of the Octo Finissimo. So it's almost like to start the journey again. We started with the manual winding tourbillon, but it was not. It was too early. It was not the aesthetic of the Octo Finissimo that we know today. The first Octo Finissimo, the right one, was the minute repeater. The first Octo Finissimo in titanium, sun-blasted finishing with this iconic dial, and everything started with the aesthetic of the minute repeater.
Yeah.
And that's why we decided to have again the minute repeater, because we want to start a new chapter, and the minute repeater was from the beginning part of this journey.
I feel like I might be coming back here in a decade's time, and we're talking about the progression not just of the Octo 40 but of the Octo 37, and then we're going to have to do the same video again with all of them laid out in front of us and just talk through the whole evolution of it, because this is the first step of it. This is the first step along the line of making the 37 a line on its own and making it stand on its own 2 feet. Fabrizio, thank you very much. I really appreciate that talk. That was fantastic. So there we have it, guys. Finally, a 37mm Octo Finissimo. To me, the best Octo Finissimo they've ever made from a wearability standpoint, maintaining all of those key design features, but just making it easier to wear, especially with that new clasp. I mean, come on, having a push button butterfly clasp was needed in this line. But speaking with Fabrizio just now, it really feels like this is a watch that is the product of collaboration more than anything else. He was talking with collectors around the world. He was talking with his watchmakers. He was talking with his suppliers to make sure this product fit every single requirement that it had to and became the perfect Octo Finissimo to build on for the future. Just don't forget, guys, this could be the Octo Finissimo that we are looking at in 10 years' time. But I want to know what you think. Let me know down in those comments. I'll be looking at them, I'll be replying to them. And as always, like the video, subscribe to Time+Tide's YouTube channel to never miss another review just like this. Bye-bye for now.